To the computer it is. Okay, I can talk a little bit, or is anyone here that can speak to RNJ? Stephen, do you want to speak to RNJ?
Sure. So the function of the Rules and Judiciary Chair, or RNJ Chair, is mainly as the committee head of the committee dealing with most of the code and constitutional changes that we put through the Senate. The RNJ committee oversees most of the appointments as well, external appointments to boards such as the Student Fee Audit Committee, the Student Fee Audit Committee, and the Student Advisory Committee to the Chancellor. They also must initiate all referenda that would eventually go on to the Joint Governance Council if they were joint referenda, and just generally are dealing with anything that is doing substantive changes to any of the governing documents of student government.
That was a great way to sum it up. Again, I highly encourage new senators to run for this position. Are there any nominations for RNJ Chair? Senator Everett, or Chair Everett.
I would like to nominate Senator Robinson, please.
All right, Senator Robinson, do you accept this nomination? Is that a yes?
I'm sorry, yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, are there any more nominations for RNJ Chair? Going once, going twice. All right, Senator Robinson, do you want to speak to your behalf for a little bit?
I would love to, and I'm going to channel my good friend, Chair Fiore, and try not to bore you too much as we've already going late here on a Friday. But I just want to begin by saying good evening to my fellow senators, and it's great to say that now for the first time. And I'm looking forward to getting to know each of you as colleagues and friends over the coming session. My name is Samuel Robinson. I typically go by Sam, and I am seeking the chairmanship of the Committee on the Rules and Judiciary. And I would like to thank my friend Senator Everett for the nomination. Since middle school, I've kind of been obsessed with watching the United States Senate as they conduct their hearings on presidential cabinet appointments and Supreme Court nominees. And I think the advice and consent process is one of the most important things in our federal government, but also in our student government. And if elected, I promise to hold fair and comprehensive hearings for each person nominated by President Richards to serve in the administration, ensuring that a qualified and diverse group of people are confirmed to serve the student body should be our greatest priority at the outset of our new legislative session. There are also, I don't know if you're aware, Senator Richards, I don't know if you've said it enough, but there are many changes that need to be made to the student code. And it's going to be a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to discuss these changes with you in the working group with several of the senators here tonight. If elected, I would be more than willing to continue talking these through, have hearings, and work to get the legislation out of committee and onto the floor of the Senate to benefit the UNC student body as a whole. So again, I appreciate the nomination and look forward to working with each of you and taking any questions you may have.
Fantastic. Are there any questions for Senator Robinson? Are there any questions? Or I'll entertain a motion. Oh, Senator Richards.
Once again, I would like to move to enter discussion.
Great.
Second.
Thanks for that. You guys are keeping me humble. All right. Sam is now in the waiting room. Feel free to discuss. Senator Fiore.
Yeah, I definitely want to encourage you to vote for Sam because you don't have another option except not voting for anyone. No, but really, he's fantastic. I am his friend, and he actually ran against me for District 2 for philosophy, and that's how I got to know him. I'm sure you have all seen his creativity in the campaign that he ran for this position, well, not for this position, for the position of senator. And I think that he'd be great for this position. He's a really great guy. He's very hardworking and just like a nice person to work with. And I think that's very important, is, being able to like talk to people and bring up stuff, especially when it comes to this, with this like massive change that's like going on with the code. You want someone who you can talk to and who's going to like actually listen to your concerns. I think he's the guy for that. That's mostly what I've got. You should vote for him. He's great.
Great. Chair Everett.
Hi, I just wanted to reaffirm all that was just said. Sam, I've never kind of met someone like me in that way. He's very driven. So I 100% think that he would be a great candidate for the position. Yes, he is the only one, but he would be an amazing for the candidate.
Great. Senator Desai.
Sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to say everything that everybody else has been saying. Sam is very charismatic. He has like a personality that you kind of cannot forget. So like definitely he's the person to show up and show out as a leader. So yeah, vote for him.
Fantastic. Chair Everett, did you have anything else to say?
Sorry.
All right. Are there any more points of discussion? All right, seeing none. Is there anyone that wants to make a motion?
I move to move into elections.
Wonderful. Is there a second?
Second.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to admit Sam back. Hi, welcome back, Sam. Again, everyone, just PM me your votes as I call your name. Okay. Wow, this spreadsheet is busted. Senator Anadurai. Senator Bamu. Senator Desai. Senator Dutta. Senator Everett, or Chair Everett. Chair Fiore. Senator Guffey. Senator Hatsios. Senator Logan. Senator Maladkar. Senator Nimala. Senator Pasapula. Senator Rampani. Senator Rampani. All right. Oh, there we go. Senator Richards. Senator Robinson. Senator Suber. Senator Syed. Senator Wilkerson. I don't think they're here. Senator Wilkins. All right. Congratulations, Chair Robinson.
Thank you very much.
Great. Okay. Next, we're going to move on to the election of the Oversight and Advocacy Chair. I will speak real quickly to this because I served in this position. So the Oversight and Advocacy Chair also sits on SBAC, but they're primarily tasked with outreach to the student body, but also overlooking the fees and like the student fee audit process. Not exactly SBAC's job, but we do have the power to kind of oversee those. So you will take on like a fee or a stipend review as well. I'm trying to think of anything else. You'll kind of coordinate the outside events for Senate. Yeah, that's all I can think of off the top of my head. Are there, again, highly recommend people to run for this position. I loved my time as ONA chair. I will take any nominations now. Senator Syed.
I'd like to self-nominate for the position.
Do you accept?
Yeah.
Senator Maladkar.
I'd like to nominate Senator Pasupula. All
right. Are there any other nominations? Or Senator Pasapula, do you accept?
I do.
Are there any other nominations? Oh, Senator Anadurai.
I'd like to self-nominate for this position.
Wonderful. Do you accept?
Yes.
All right. Are there any other nominations on the floor? All right. In the order of Anadurai, Pasapula, and Syed, please give a little speech.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Arthi Anadurai. I'm a new senator incoming this semester, and I'm a District 1 senator. I'm a biology major. So this was kind of a very important role that I saw, and it's something that I came into the Senate to try to address. And I want to preface by saying, like, I don't think that the student body is not concerned about what's going on in the Senate and what's going on campus. I think it comes down to we need to actually push what we're doing out there and make more awareness about what's happening within the Senate. So to do that, I want to try to maximize usage of social media, moving beyond just listservs that oftentimes get stuck in our spam. That way we can try to reach more people and get more general involvement from the student body. Beyond that, I think that workshops among senators or just any other way where we can kind of aid senators in the process of reaching out to their constituents and becoming aware of different ways they can do that consistently, I think that would really benefit, especially new senators who might not necessarily know how to go about that. And in terms of RSOs, beyond just reaching out to them and attending some of their meetings and things like that, I think it's important that we try to help them advocate for themselves and really actively participate in different events that they have that might concern things going on campus. I know a lot of organizations, including a few that I was a part of, had things like discussions and chats about issues that directly impact the student body, and having senators present there to hear from people, especially among these interest groups, and take those into account, I think is very important. And in terms of experience that I have that I can bring to this role, I have served as outreach for the Honors Carolina Student Association, specifically through their marketing and community events committees. And so I know the impact of social media, and I understand how to reach out to people and maybe broaden our social media impact. I also served as the cultural cultural chair for Sangam, which is the South Asian organization on campus. And we have been working to connect with other South Asian organizations that are present on campus as well. I think that's really important to try to connect organizations and bring them all together. And then beyond on-campus roles, I am an intern for the Innocence Project in London, and I've been basically helping the director there figure out how to involve the public in the goal of advocating for criminal justice reform, which is a bigger task and a broader task when addressing the general public, and the skills I have from doing that task, I would like to bring to this role. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Andre. Senator Pasapula?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest issues in terms of just advocacy on campus is that there is kind of a disconnect between on-campus organizers like Uncontrollables, YDSA, different student-led organizations, and Senate. There's kind of this divide. And so I think one of the main things I want to do as this position is bring those organizations together. So directly listening to those organizations, hearing their concerns, making sure that we are supporting direct action movements on campus. And so I've been working on advocacy throughout high school and college, for example, like on gun control legislation, increased minimum wage, the defunding of police. I recently was working with the Federal Funding Advocacy Week. And through this advocacy, I've spoken with numerous students and listened to their concerns. I was co-owner of the Class of 24 GroupMe, so I know hundreds of first years. I'm also the co-owner of the Class of 25 Instagram. So again, I know many different students, and I have various avenues to connect with students and hear their concerns. I've also organized with the North Carolina Democrats. So I've spoken with various constituents about the largest issues that affect them and their voting preferences. And also one of my biggest facets of something that I hold dear to my heart is just working across the aisle. I grew up in a very conservative neighborhood as a woman of color, so I've had to deal with, conservatives yelling at me throughout my entire life and having to deal with them in a professional manner. And something that I noticed as one of the responsibilities for this position is maintaining a petition webpage. And that is something I have direct experience with. Over the summer, I started a document called NC Sports Black Lives Matter, in which I still update at least once a month with various petitions, various mutual aid links, Senate bills that are directly relating to Black Lives Matter and, defunding of police. And so as well as that, I'm also a student that is on financial aid. So I understand the stress of excessive student fees, especially during the pandemic. And I know many students that have concerns with these student fees. And so with my experience, I think that I am suitable to reach out to these students and get their concerns with the student fees and, coordinate with the finance chair as well, and just create a nice bridge between finance as well as advocacy, as well as on-campus student organizations. And in addition, I have various connections with different student organizations. I'm a member of Kamikaze Dance Team, Young DSA, the IOP. I also work for the School of Government, and I'm also a part of, the music department. I'm a music minor, so I have a lot of different connections within the university. So there are many different avenues that I can target, as well as uplifting our BIPOC and LGBTQ folk as well. And I was also co-founder and co-editor-in-chief of Tar Heel Perspective, which is a progressive newspaper that my friend and I had started to uplift underrepresented voices. And through that avenue, I have also increased my advocacy skills. So thank you for your time today.
Senator Syed.
I think that one of the main functions of the Senate is to represent the voices of the students. Instead of serving as, throwing back to AP Gov right here, the trustee model of representation, where somebody tells you that you go out and do whatever you want. I think it's better served that we all work as delegates for our constituencies, hear their concerns and see what they actually want changed around campus. And it is best served, especially through the ONA committee, since that's its primary purpose. And we can really go about doing this by just communicating throughout the various online places. Like I know the class of 2024 GroupMe, for example, is incredibly active. My first thoughts as soon as I was elected as senator was to instantly go there and ask what kind of changes do you guys want seen around campus. So getting more senators to just reach out to these people, but also not just that, we also want them to know that they're coming to us. And I guess I'm just circling back to the publicity of the Senate, having people understand that we're a very powerful body that can actually cause some serious change around campus. Like, for example, last year, the Senate passed the resolution to change names of the buildings around campus that are currently named after some pretty racist, messed up people. And this year, just recently, we see that the university actually sent something out allowing us to change those names. So the Senate actually does do a lot of stuff that's powerful, but we need to tell the student body how to do that. And I think I have pretty strong background in reaching out and working around with people. This past year, I've been working with a volunteer organization, and with them, we've been able to help out in a lot of low-income communities, especially around Durham, especially around the Durham County area, talking with the Durham County Board of Commissioners, the Durham mayor, just to, have those people who seem like everything is hopeless, having them actually be able to voice their concerns to somebody who can help them out. And I really want to bring something like that to the Senate and the UNC.
Great. Are there any questions for our candidates? Senator Richards.
So all three of you mentioned that outreach is very important to you, and your constituency outreach to your constituency is very important. And obviously, student government is organized in this weird way where some people have very large constituencies and some people have small constituencies. But I'd like to hear some things that you have already done to do outreach in your constituencies and outreach to figure out what the needs of your voters are.
Yeah. So in the past year, I've frequently utilized GroupMe because primary form of communication, and I understand that a lot of students aren't active in these chats, so it is a little difficult to reach out to them. However, it is still a great tool to be able to just constantly be able to check in, every month or so, at least going in your classes too, because that's a lot smaller group, more people look into that stuff rather than just a general large chat where a lot of people have it on mute or something like that. Being able to reach out to these people, and if somebody comes to you, don't just take credit for it or do something with it. Best example being Senator Desai right here reached out to me. She was part of the mental health committee, so being able to actually not just say, okay, thanks for the idea, I'm gonna go and do it, but actually working with them to hear out their concerns and see what they want as part of the resolution, to have them not just tell you what to do, but have them be essentially part of your team that's getting that done.
Great. Senator Pascagoula.
Yeah, so sorry, this is very similar to what the previous senator had said, but just a matter of reaching out to those people and meeting them where they are, something that, Speaker Temper Logan has also kind of addressed. But so something that I'm currently working on is the UNC IOP Student Policy Collaborative. in which we're reaching out with to students and organizing with them to meet specific policy goals. And so something that I want to utilize, and I know a lot of people have said this, but it is something that I feel very strongly about, is social media. I have been using social media, since I was a child. I, try to connect with UNC students on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and really understanding their concerns, especially in regards to the GroupMe. I was also a very active member of the class of 24 GroupMe. So I have, networked and spoken with, hundreds of UNC students about their concerns, especially in regards to COVID-19 and how the university poorly handled it. And so one kind of thing that I had done is listen to various concerns. For example, listening to students that were in the quarantine dorms that received poor treatment, students that had concerns about RAs not receiving hazard pay. And so I kind of voiced all of those concerns and wrote it into a kind of larger article titled UNC is Screwing Us Over, and I published that to Tar Heel Perspective. And just spreading that word of other students and their issues, I think is a very pivotal way of making sure that their voices are heard.
Senator Undergraduate.
Yeah, so the District 1 constituency is one that is difficult to get involved with student government. And I noticed that just being one of the candidates who ran in the special elections with 4 seats open, there wasn't a whole lot of interest to kind of get involved in the Senate. And I think that's something that can be changed by first like bringing them, basically bringing like news and awareness to the fact that there are issues that the Senate covers that directly affects those departments and those majors. And while this is my first time as senator, in terms of hearing those concerns using GroupMe, especially being in some of those larger STEM classes during the pandemic, and kind of hearing mental health concerns and being able to reach out to professors accordingly after reaching out and getting that information is something that I've been experienced with. And in the process of actually running for Senate, I actually messaged a lot of people personally and messaged those group chats and said like, hey, this is going on. Here's how it's going to impact you, and here's how you can get involved. And that is something that I want to continue to do, just targeting those areas and really bringing in more involvement from the STEM side of the school, which is a large portion of the student body, but is one that oftentimes does not see a whole lot of involvement in student government.
Great. Chair Fiore.
Thank you all for speaking. It is very clear that you all understand the importance of outreach and that you have a lot of experience with it. And like to a certain extent, the medium is the message, but like the message is also important. I'm curious what you plan to tell people that you reach out to, and like kind of like not necessarily why you'll be good at it or why you'll be effective at it or how you'll do it, but specifically what are you going to say to them? And like you don't have to get like, nothing super long, just like 1 or 2 things that you will tell people and like how you'll represent undergraduate students government to them.
So one of the key things that I would like to highlight when going through the process of reaching out and performing outreach is kind of emphasizing what exactly student government does in terms of appropriating funds, especially when reaching out to student-run organizations. And also, I feel like there's a lot of students who maybe are not huge fans of how their department is operating. And I feel like there's a big gap in terms of how can we actually address this issue without going through a whole lot of steps to do that. And I feel like they fail to consider that there is a student-run organization like us who can bridge that gap. And I think really emphasizing that that is a possibility and actually acting in that role will really help with engagement in that way.
Senator Pasapula.
Yeah, so I think kind of my main approach when talking with various students on campus is just approaching them in a very friendly manner, a very casual manner. I think the best conversations I've had with students is when I kind of already form that friendship type bond with them. And then while we're conversing, just kind of sprinkling in like, hey, like, this has been bothering me about this school. Like, what about you? Like, what are your kind of concerns that are going on right now? And so I don't know if that's the answer you necessarily wanted, but that's kind of how I've always approached things, is just being a very friendly person, being a very approachable person. Not, like there is, professionalism that needs to be occurring, obviously, but you don't want to come off as intimidating or as unapproachable. So I think the main thing is just building those kind of, friendships with students on campus, or just, making sure that they know that you're always open ears and that there's someone that they can always go to.
Yeah, Sneha took the words right out of my mouth. I found like being formal, obviously, while it seems nice and all, right? Being personable gets a lot more responses. People see you that you're an actual person and not like a teacher or something like that, right? Like when we're reaching out to different RSOs, if you write out like a super formal email, you're not really likely to get something serious back. Versus if you explain in a more personable way, like I'm a fellow student. I understand that there's a lot of problems around campus. I think that this might be a problem that I've heard around your area. What do you guys think about this kind of thing? Getting them involved in the conversation by like tossing the ball in their court, but keeping the conversation going back and forth really gets people to actually interact with you better.
Great. Are there any more questions? If not, I'll hear a motion. Anyone have a motion to enter discussion by chance?
Motion to enter discussion.
I second that.
All right, everyone is in the waiting room. Please feel free to discuss. Just raise your hand. Chair Fiore, I think I saw you first.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to speak in favor of Senator Anadurai. I thought that that question that I asked in particular, I asked specifically because I think a lot of student government, from what I've heard, which is obviously not much time, but a lot of it is focused on the methods of how we're going to do things and not necessarily what we're actually going to do. And I think that her answer, she was the only person who really answered my question, which was what are you going to tell people? What are you going to say to people to get them interested? And she specifically cited the two things that I think are most important and the most pressing issues about undergraduate senate. The first is that we control student fees and that money, and that is something that is very tangible, and people understand money. I know that sounds kind of shallow, but it's true. People understand money and they understand what that means, and they understand that money is associated with power. And second, she specifically talked about oh, are you unhappy with your major? Let us help you with that. And that is the best, again, something great that people know that if they have allies in student government, they're going to be able to get their needs met. And I think that was much more convincing to me for why she would be really good at this position than just kind of general ideas about outreach and what people are going to say and what group meetings they're going to talk to. And so I thought that was really effective, and I think that she'll be really good at this. And I just, yeah, I think you should vote for her. I'm going to.
Thank you. Senator Desai.
Yeah, I would just like to speak in support of Senator Pasupula. I've known her since middle school. We go way back, but I just wanted to say how driven she is. She's very committed to everything she ever does. She's the most organized person that I know personally, despite how she may convey herself to be that way. But she's really a person who has at the heart been an organizer and a person who has wanted change fundamentally and wholeheartedly. And I think that you guys should vote for her. And Senator Fiore likes to sign off with, I for sure will be voting for Sneha.
Awesome. Senator Dutta.
Yeah, my comments aren't specifically in favor of any candidate, but I do want to point out that Senator Pasupula's accomplishments are definitely they're definitely great, and her experiences are quite relevant to the roles that she's running for. But I do want to point out that she does seem overcommitted, and I don't know I have doubts on whether or not she would be able to fulfill her position to the fullest if she is elected. But I do respect that she has a lot of experience, but I'm definitely skeptical of the fact that she's going to be able to contribute towards her role, given all the things that she's involved in, because they are pretty major tasks.
Thank you. Senator Richards.
Yeah, I just like to talk about Senator Syed briefly. I'm a little bit uncomfortable with the practice of running down for elections. Senator Syed was, of course, ethics chair in the previous Senate. And I think that like the nature of student government means that it's important to get new leadership and like push new people into higher positions. I think that this I'm like broadly uncomfortable with it like running for a like contested position where like it will be filled as like a step down from a previous position. I think that's something that's worth considering. I do like Hussein. I think he's pretty great. But like I think that this is a little bit inappropriate.
Okay, Chair Everett.
I just wanted to definitely address what's been said. I do want to kind of speak in favor of Senator Pascagoula. I know she does have, everyone's already worried about her overcommitment. I do understand that. I do think she kind of just read off her resume. Like, I don't think that's all at once. I do think that should be considered. You know, I am close with her, I guess, on social media, and her presence is very, very amazing to say the least. It's about a lot of outreach. She's very qualified. So I would love to really have y'all consider her as well.
Wonderful. Senator Richards, did you have anything else to say?
Oh, I'm sorry. I just forgot to put my hand down.
No, you're good.
I can talk again if you want, but.
Is there anyone else that has anything to say? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to move the discussion.
Seconded.
I'm going to assume that was motion to do voting. And
Oh, yes, motion to vote. Apologies.
No problem. All right, I'm going to invite everyone in. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. As usual, I will call roll call. PM me your vote. Senator Onaduri. Senator Bamu. Senator Desai. Senator Dutta. Chair Everett. Chair Fiore. Senator Guffey. Senator Hatzios. Speaker Pro Tempore Logan. Senator Maladkar. Senator Nimala. Senator Pascagoula. Senator Rampani. Senator Richards. Senator Chair Robinson. Senator Seabear. Senator Seabear. All right. Senator Syed. Senator Wilkins. All right, give me a second, y'all. I've got to do some math.
Just a point of information to anyone broadly, not necessarily Speaker Powell. Do people have to get a majority of the votes, regardless of like, even if there are like 3 or 4 running?
You have to get a majority, and if you don't get a majority, there's a runoff that eliminates the person with the least votes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. Thank you.
Okay, let me check and make sure. All right, yeah, there is no good way to do this except plain out. Hey, Chair Fiore, do you mind if I add you to this Google Doc to make sure I'm doing this math right? Because it's gonna be a little. Can you share your Gmail?
Yeah, I got a calculator. I can do that.
Yeah, I can't. I'm definitely District 3 through and through.
And let me know, Elena, if you need any assistance. I can also
Yeah,
help.
drop Gmails. I would love to add you guys. Or Amaya, you should have access because of the old drive. It's 103 folder.
Got it. Okay.
Thanks for the shout out, Christopher. It's gonna be fun. All right, Anna, I just shared this with you, so you should be able to see the voting record. Sorry, guys. I know this is like terribly painful, but we're doing tally marks here.
It's not like we can all go out drinking right now anyway, so.
I do turn 21 in 6 days, so you want to save that, Andrew, for next week.
Has anyone got their wisdom tooth taken out?
Yeah, I have.
Yes. Oh my God. It
You
was
don't
such an
want that to
experience.
happen.
I looked like a chipmunk, like perfectly swollen.
I'm on the verge of getting it taken. I don't know if y'all can tell. Like I haven't been talking a lot because I'm literally slurring all my words. My wisdom tooth is literally poking out, and so when I talk, it punctures my teeth. I know this is so much information, but you'll learn about me. I get really personal really quick. So if I ever sound on this call, if I'm sound like I'm slurring, I'm having my wisdom teeth taken out maybe this week or next week. It's an emergency at this point. So just bear with me.
I'm so sorry. I'm gonna jump right in and say we do not have a majority. So the way this goes, I'm pretty sure, is we're just gonna go between the two candidates have the most votes. We have to enter discussion and enter voting procedure again. So I'm really sorry. Senator Syed, you will not be in the runoff. This will be between Senator Anaduri and Senator Pascagoula. So that being said, we are going to enter discussion again. So I have to kick you guys back out. Unless someone wants to make a motion to enter voting procedure while I'm doing that.
Voting procedure.
I second that. I'm ready to vote.
Oh, welcome back, Senator Anaduri. Just kicked her out, pulled her right back in. All right. We are going to enter voting procedure. I'm going to call y'all's names out. Bear with me. Oh, Sam got kicked out. Okay. All right, and if Maya and Chair Fiore can work on this together as I'm doing that. Senator Anaduri. Senator Bamu. Senator Desai. Senator Dutta. Senator Dutta. Senator Everett or Chair Everett. Chair Fiore. Senator Guffey. Oh, wow, you on it. You just went ahead and, okay. Senator Hatsios. Chair Logan, or Pro Temp Logan. Senator Malakar. Senator Nimala. Senator Pascagoula. Senator Rampani. Senator Richards. Chair Robinson. Chair Robinson. All right, Senator Seabear. Senator Syed. Senator Wilkins. All right. If one of you guys could PM me the results, if we. No problem.
I think Senator Robinson was trying to vote and was for some reason unable.
Oh yeah, I
I
got
got it,
it.
and there's some bad technical difficulties over here. I'm sorry.
Oh good, it happens. All right. Chair Fiore or Maya, did y'all have a result?
So I am not seeing any of the results.
Oh, it's in the, you should be able to see in the bottom if you click on the 409 tab.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Pro Tip Logan,
do you mind like sending the link? For some reason, I'm not even seeing it in the 106.
Okay, no problem. I'll just go ahead and tally them real quick.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, it's all right. It happens. Y'all just trust my math over here. It's dangerous stuff. All right. I'm getting a majority. Chair Fiore, have you gotten results?
I'm still struggling to figure out what's going on here.
I apologize. Okay, I feel pretty
I'll figure
confident
this out.
in my
Yeah.
ability to count. Okay, so I want to congratulate Chair Pasapula for your new position. Awesome. All right, we're going to move right down. It's going to be Joint Governance Council Member at Large. Someone wants to give a brief statement, either Maya or Stephen.
Yeah, I can give a brief statement about the joint council member at large. So with this position, essentially you attend meetings with JGC, and typically, at least for the previous year, it was on Wednesdays. And your main task is really to add to the collective dialogue, whether it's about, the finance, whether it's codes, or whether it's about ethics. You add to that dialogue at these meetings, and it's really to facilitate a conversation between GPSF, which is the basically graduate form of Senate, and we work together to like either identify something, a resolution we would like to work on, or any key task points that we would like to collaborate on as an undergraduate and graduate Senate. So this is really the key person, along with Speaker Powell and I. This person will also attend the meeting so that we can, add to the dialogue at the graduate level.
Fantastic. Are there any nominations for JGC chair or JGC member at large? Oof. Okay, Senator or Chair Everett.
I'd like to nominate Senator Desai.
All right, Senator Dutta.
I'd like to nominate Senator Rampani.
Chair Pasapula.
I'd like to nominate Senator Malatkar.
And I would like to nominate Senator Anaduri. Do you accept your nomination, Senator Anaduri?
Yes.
Okay. And then Senator Desai, do you accept your nomination?
Yes.
Senator Rampani, do you accept your nomination?
I do.
Malatkar?
I do.
Awesome. All right, team. Give a brief speech, and it's going to go Anaduri, Malatkar, Rampani, Desai.
So hi everyone again. You guys have kind of heard a lot about kind of what my goals are, and I think that a lot of those things still apply with this position. It's really important to continue to try to bridge gaps. I think that is one of the biggest things that the Senate should be emphasizing, and that includes bridging the gap with the graduate council, with other bodies on campus that are enacting policy that do affect the student body. And I think that I could facilitate that bridging and really build some interpersonal connections that way. As mentioned before, that is something that I had to do for my role in Sangam, the South Asian organization. And we did recently run a successful event with about like 6-7 of us all collaborating together. And so I can kind of see how we can facilitate that on a larger scale, where everyone kind of gets their input, everyone gets their share, and we can produce really great outcomes that benefit a large portion of the student body. So yeah, I think that is something that I bring to the role, and this is something that I feel strongly about, and I think that it is an important part of the undergraduate Senate that I would like to uphold. Thank you.
Do I just begin or do I need to be called on?
Y'all can go ahead and begin. I'm actually working on some stuff in Slack behind the scenes.
All right. Hi, my name is Pallavi Maladkar. I'm a recently elected District 3 Senator. I am a rising sophomore. I am involved in several organizations on campus. I am a writer for THP, the Tar Heel Perspective. It's a paper that works on uplifting more progressive voices and making sure that the voices of people of color are more heard and seen on campus. I am also in UNC Sangam, which is the largest South Asian organization on campus. I'm one of the political chairs. And basically what we do is just talk about, the political perspectives of South Asian countries and our experiences as South Asians in America, and being able to bring forward all those perspectives into something that's more heard and seen on campus. I'm also a member of UNC Chalka, which is a dance team on campus as well. It's South Asian Bollywood fusion. So I am running for JGC member at large because I hope to use this role to more fully explore and exercise my methods of advocacy. I'm a freshman senator, so I don't have much experience in student government at all. I hadn't done student government in high school, but I'm really, really excited and passionate about moving forward with this and being able to hopefully impact this position in a new way. This role, I've done a little bit of research by reading the Joint Code, but I know that this role provides access to both the undergraduate student government and the graduate and professional student government. So I hope to learn more about issues and be able to impact issues concerning both student bodies at UNC and how best to serve them. Because this role is more flexible, I believe, in terms of responsibilities, I plan on exercising my position to explore methods of implementing and advocating for the issues that were on my campaign platform, actually, as well as collaborating with other members of JGC. I hope to work on issues that are incredibly important to both student bodies, such as sexual assault prevention and mental health prioritization. In terms of my experience, I don't have much to say because I am a freshman senator, and I switched my major over the summer, actually. So I'm really just getting into politics. But I do consider myself to be a good mediator. I'm really, I think I am good at being able to listen to individuals and hear out all the multiple sides of an argument, and really take an issue and look at it from every single angle before coming to a conclusion that satisfies the most people. And so, yeah, that's my speech. Thank you for your consideration. I hope you vote for me.
Wonderful, Senator Rampani.
All right, hello everybody. First, I want to recognize the clock says we've been here for 3 hours and 22 minutes. So if you got to take a breath, you got to shake it out a little bit. I get it, a lot of talking, right? I also don't want to just go down my resume, which I understand a lot of people do, and that's fantastic, but I want you to know who I am and the relevant experience that I've had that will specifically help with this position. So I'm Robert Rampani. You can call me Robbie because we're all friends now, obviously. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a junior in chemistry, a rising senior, and I'm actually a transfer. So I have a lot of unique experiences with communication. I was at the biggest community college in the state, or right at number 2, Wake Tech Community College in Wake County. We actually had 70,000 students when I was there. So definitely lots of communication between people that are going into many different aspects of life. Plumbers, hairstylists, people that want to be future aerospace engineers at NASA. It was all across the board. While I was there, I actually served in student government. So I have a unique perspective on seeing student government, not just here, but also in a community college that has a completely different set of standards and a completely different student body. And while I was there, I was the chair. So I had certain priorities while I was there, and those are the same priorities I would have here. A lot of people have brought up communication tonight, kind of vaguely, but that's really the number one thing we need to specifically and precisely work on. With this position, in particular, the Joint Governance Council member, we need to make sure that the communication between graduate students and their specific needs, depending on their major, line up with what ours are, that we can communicate that and unify together. Undergraduate Senate working by itself, GPSF working by itself, great things. If we can unify those voices together and really fight for change in UNC, we'll get it done. I also want to realize that we need to allow everyone to take part in student government, right? As somebody mentioned earlier, it's a lot harder to do that when we're virtual, but it looks like things are going to go better in the fall. So we need to make sure that we do everything we can with undergraduate students and graduate students to let them in and let their voices be heard. It's really easy to send out a listserv message and have 5,000 people read it, but if you can genuinely make one-on-one connections and hear people, that's how change happens. I also want to realize and say that seniority is important, right? We have now a speaker and a speaker pro tempore that are very talented, have a lot of expertise and experience in student government, but we also need some fresh blood, right? I would be somebody else going on to the JGC as a first year senator and as somebody who has really unique perspectives with a community college environment and seeing how other student governments have run things for the benefit and for the worse. This is also going to be my main focus, right? I know a lot of people have really busy schedules and I respect that 100%. But this is going to be my main focus in the fall. So I would really be able to give that time for those meetings and to connect with the other members of the JGC. Thank you so much for your time. And like I said, shake it off, get some water, get a snack. We'll make it through.
Thank you all for that. Is there any questions for our candidates? Please just use the raise your hand function.
I didn't go.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Senator Desai.
Hi, everybody. I know most of you, and I'm proud to say that it's a pleasure to know most of you because you all are brilliant. But like Senator Rampani said, I don't want to go down my resume and make it a representation of who I am because I don't want the work that I have put forth in emphasis with other people in mind to uplift me in other positions. So I just wanted to go through three things, as my mom always says, to keep it short with 3 points, to show how what I would want to bring to the JDC position. One, emphasize that the material conditions for students at the university need to be bettered. We are in an utter crisis at the moment where students aren't getting what they need in terms of resources. Number two, as someone who's on the mental health committee on exec branch, I've seen how grossly underfunded the mental health sector of this university is. And as a member of the JGC, I would emphasize that we need to up the emotional conditions and the access to emotional conditions that students have on this campus. And three, transparency, but not only transparency, it's transparency with solidarity. It's being open and being honest, but having the core idea in mind, in that we all have to be together in this, and that nothing good is ever done alone. So thank you again for listening to me. And I know that was short, but we have been here a long time. So
now that I have not cut anyone off, I'm so sorry again, Senator Desai. Are there any questions for our candidates? Please just use the raise your hand function.
There's got to be one.
Yeah, I can ask a quick question. Just if you guys, this is okay if the answer is no, but do you have any past experience working with GPSG? And you can keep it short. It's okay if you don't. It will go. It'll be Desai, Rampani, Muladkar, Anaduri.
Yeah. So I have experience with current GPSF Graduate Student Federation President Neil Swami. We both have a seat on the online hub creating for suicide prevention resources. My subcommittee and I in the mental health committee for exec branch during this administration, we're working to implement sweeping suicide prevention reforms. And Neil Swami and I sit on the same task force that is working to implement that. And we're currently going to meet to create a whole online hub, and we're working with a lot of money, and it's very nerve-wracking, but it's getting there, you know.
I think it's my turn, maybe. Okay. Hey, Lena, that's a fantastic question. And while I don't have specific experience with GPSF, I think that's why I mentioned my community college background a little bit more. There are some traditional students here at Chapel Hill, or non-traditional, sorry, I think I said traditional. There are some non-traditional students here, but at a community college level, there are a lot more, right? So I have experience working with people from every possible geographic location, every possible socioeconomic background. I had people that were in student government. She was, I think, 68, and we had people who were 17 in early college, right, who were ready to get on into their biomedical engineering pathway. So again, not specific experience with the structure here, but I also think that gives me a unique perspective to be able to critique and also work with them to improve not just our side of things, but their side of things.
I do not have experience working with GPSF just because I'm like completely brand new to Senate. But I do have experience working with people. I've held like numerous leadership positions in clubs at like my high school and in clubs here. So I guess I could speak to that, but for GPSF specifically, no.
I also am very fresh, so not a lot of experience with GPSF. However, I am conscious of the differences in policy and how things kind of work between the undergraduate school and the graduate school. I've had several friends who have done graduate programs at UNC, and I have seen differences in how that works. I currently work under a grad student as a research assistant as well. So I am conscious of how funding is different. I'm conscious of how policy impacts both of our groups differently. And I think that being aware of that will help in that initial process of building interpersonal connections between the undergraduate senate and the GPSF. So I hope to be able to bring that.
Thank you for that. Senator Dutta.
Yeah, so my question focuses on something that all of the candidates mentioned. All of you said that building these partnerships between the undergraduate school versus like the professional and graduate schools is important. But I want to ask you specifically what ideas for partnerships you have, like what are you going to solicit from these partnerships, and what specifically will students in both schools benefit from?
Is it still me again?
It will go Anna Durai, Malakar, Rampani, Desai.
Yeah, so thank you for that question. I think that a lot of things that impact like the entire student body in terms of discrimination policy with student aid, financial aid, policy with regards to research funding. Those are things that are similar between both the graduate school programs and the undergraduate school programs. However, there are going to be different needs, and other issues are like affordable housing, things like that, that are unifying for both of the schools. And we would probably have a greater, I guess, like advocacy power if we were to both go at those issues together. And we could probably affect really important changes for the entire student body with regards to those wide-reaching social issues that we're seeing on campus. And I think it's really important that we get that input from graduate school programs in order to make sure it's truly affecting the majority of the student body instead of just the undergraduate side of things.
Could you repeat the question just so I know exactly what you had asked or what you're looking for?
Yeah, sure. So I was, my question was specifically about what do you plan on very specifically soliciting from the partnership between the graduate schools and the undergraduate school, and what kinds of issues are you targeting, and what are you going to make out of that partnership, and how will it benefit the students?
Okay, so based on like my very limited knowledge of GPSF, I like pretty much know nothing about like the distinction between undergraduate senate and GPSF other than like they're different schools. But I hope to like work with the people that are on both of these boards in order to tackle the issues that impact both schools, both like students as a whole. So I mentioned like mental health prioritization, extremely important to me, and I think that like we have students on both ends in GPSF as well as undergraduate senate who have a lot of things to say about those issue specifically. So being able to like talk with individuals from both sides of the GPSF and USG on how we think like the best way to tackle that issue is, I think, would be my goal with this position. Another one is sexual assault prevention and like awareness as well as retribution. I think that this is like an issue that's extremely looked over like all the time. I feel like in undergraduate Senate and beyond, I feel like it's just an issue that's constantly pushed aside and like nothing's ever really done about it. And I really want to push for more dialogue about these issues because it does affect GPSF and USG students. So I guess I don't have like a lot of specifics about like funding and like all those things because I'm not there at that level of knowledge about like what JGC can do. I haven't like memorized the joint code yet, but I do have a passion for making sure that the issues on my platform, as well as the issues that like my friends talk to me about, and like the issues that I hear people talk about in general that they experience at school, are heard and are discussed. So yes.
Okay, I think it's me again, trying to get this order down. I love that question. I'm blown away with y'all's questions throughout this night. It's been a really great discussion. Really, and I know this is not a cop-out, but this is really how I feel. I don't think that's for us to decide, right? Our job is to be a representative of who we represent, right? Of the students that we represent. So we need to learn, we need to adapt, and we need to implement those changes. Now, there are things obviously that are on my heart that might not be on y'all's heart. One of those is mental health. Mental health over this pandemic has been perhaps some of the worst we have ever experienced at UNC and really around the world. And I understand that CAPS is doing everything they can, but it's just not enough, right? And that affects undergraduates and graduates completely equally. Another thing that I really want to work with graduate students on is their closeness to faculty, right? It's very easy for us as undergraduates to kind of point the finger and get upset at faculty during their transition with COVID, during the way they administer tests, things like that. And while certainly some of those arguments are valid, we need to understand that there's another voice out there and that a lot of these faculty members are doing absolutely everything they can to make sure that we have what we need to learn. So, like I said, use all the voices that we have, both from the undergraduate and undergraduate side, really focus on mental health, and then bring in everybody's voice, including faculty and higher administration.
Sorry, Rita, could you repeat the question? I am last, so I couldn't hear it all, but I do want to give the fairness to your question. So yeah, I was wondering if you could repeat it.
Absolutely, yeah. So the question that I asked was, what do you plan on essentially soliciting from the partnership between graduate schools and the undergraduate school? How are you, like, what specific ideas do you have, and how is it going to benefit students in both schools?
Okay, cool. Now I have it's footing. Senator Rampani mentioned that it really wasn't up for us to decide, but respectfully, I respect you, Senator Rampani. We do have to set intentions as to what we want to do. And while there are issues that may come up and we have to adapt to them as the world changes, as the university changes, there are issues that are glaring us in the face at this campus that do need to be fixed. The graduate students have a vested interest in improving the material conditions of this university and the emotional conditions of this university. They've worked on sweeping reforms that have even consisted of abolishing GPA. And it's up for us to take a look at what the graduate and professional students want to, really emphasize the fact that things need to be better at this moment. Because like, while there are things that may come up in the end, we need to focus on the idea that we need to give students more resources. And if the graduate students and the professional students can help, we can help work with them on that. I believe a joint resolution is in order. If we can work on mental health issues, and which I've mentioned to Neil Swamy, who is the current president, we need to do that because that is a glaring issue that is right in front of us at this campus. And we need to set our intentions as to what we want to do to make sure that we can have the infrastructure to help get it right when things do change.
I do just want to respond because you did mention me by name. I don't take any offense to what you said. Let me clarify. I do not mean that we play catch up for the next year. That was not my point at all. But we really haven't done anything for our students if we come in with a predetermined set of ideas, work all year to do them, and spend no time gathering information about what is day to day affecting our students. That is completely different for each district we represent. I represent physical sciences. One of the hardest things we've had to deal with in physics, chemistry, and geology is adapting to online labs. Faculty's doing everything they can. One of the things I want to focus on in my time here is how do we bring that back into a classroom setting safely, but encouraging that hands-on learning. So again, not to be behind the curve and just kind of play catch up and follow the trends, but to really listen as much as we talk. We can sit here and talk for hours and hours and ignore the outside world, and that's just not effective.
Can I add just like one quick point of clarification for mine, Speaker Powell?
Yeah, that's fine. Just make it quick.
Okay. When I said like we have to figure out what we want to do, I just meant intentions, like what issues that we have to focus on the most. And I do agree that we have to implement as much as we have to do as much as we talk. And that work is being done though as well, but we have to implement that in the Senate space.
Wonderful. Senator Hatsios.
Hi, going off of a topic that Pallavi mentioned, I wanted to ask about the issue of sexual assault at UNC. In the communities I'm especially a part of, I've seen that this is an incredible issue and widely unaddressed. I want to know how you all will work to, I guess, address this particular area, or I guess, give it particular attention. I'm personally uncomfortable with a further lack of significant improvement in this area, and I would really like to hear how each of you would address this for our community.
I do have to say real quick, Senator Hatsios, do you mean specifically from the point of view of graduate student? Because it's not fair to ask them about a specific question unless you say it through the graduate student lens.
Yes, I mean I implied for both graduate and undergraduate, but in containing the graduate student body as well.
Okay. The order is going to be Desai, Rampani, Maladkar, Anaduri.
Okay. Hi, Zoe. And you mentioned sexual assault and sexual assault prevention, right? So when I want to outline my answer, I want to outline it in steps. So firstly, we identify the issue, and that is sexual assault prevention, right? So we have to work on identifying the infrastructure, and where I see that infrastructure has gaping holes is mental health. Victims don't have a proper response to the way that they're feeling, and they don't have the support that they need. So what does that look like in responding to them? We bolster suicide prevention infrastructure. We bolster mental health infrastructure. This goes back to adding to the material conditions of the university and the emotional conditions of the university, because once we set those foundations, we're able to build upon it. And I'm not going to give all of my ideas because, like I said, there's going to be somebody out there who has a better idea than me, but just building upon those infrastructures of fixing the gaping holes in the mental health infrastructure, and also going off of mental health suicide prevention infrastructure to help give those victims the support they need. And then also working from the faculty perspective, because as many of you have seen in the hunting ground, UNC is one of the worst schools for sexual assault and sexual assault prevention. So we're working with the Graduate and Professional Student Federation and our Senate to help bolster and give funding to those specific infrastructures, and building upon that to make sure that there's a better place for victims to go to when they need assistance, you know?
Hey, Zoe, I love that question. That is so near and dear to my heart. And I actually did a case study last year about this. I have my results here. So these are a little bit outdated, but I surveyed about 150 people, and 85% of the female respondents claimed they felt unsafe on campus in the last 6 months, right? So that was the very beginning of last semester. That includes just the end of the last, or during the transition back from COVID over we had a week, right? And one of the most horrifying, chilling things I found is that females continually reported feeling that there was a rape culture, or that there wasn't a safe environment, and men did not feel the same. One of the things we need to work on is to make sure that men understand that there is a problem and that they can be a part of the solution. If you don't have that ally mentality on the side of men and people that identify as males on this campus, things aren't going to change. Another thing we need to do is make sure that the training students have to go through is explicit and very real, right? Understand that this is a problem. I understand, I know people have alcohol training and sexual assault training before they come on campus as first years or transfers. It's not always effective. We need to especially crack down on organizations that are allowing this to happen. I'm not going to name any in particular, but we've seen in the news over the last couple of months across the country, a lot of organizations that are allowing this to happen knowingly. And that just has no place at Carolina. So we need to partner with the Graduate Student Federation to make sure that that side of things is working, and also further partner with campus police and other opportunities for faculty and staff to have training and understand how to respond when something like this is brought up.
Thank you for that, Senator Malakar.
Thank you, Senator Hatsios, for that question. This is an issue that I'm really, really passionate about. And so I'm glad you asked it. So the UNC administration has made public their inability to control or mandate behavior in fraternities due to their off-campus nature and all that stuff. And I'm just going to be fun and say fraternities are a really concentrated place for stuff like this to happen, sexual assault and sexual abuse. And so UNC, we know, has a terrible track record of letting sexual assaulters and harassers off the hook without any retribution whatsoever, which is completely unacceptable in my opinion. And so my approach to solving this issue would be twofold, sort of retribution and prevention. And so in tackling the issue, I understand that this is coming from more of an undergraduate lens. And I want to preface this by saying I would 100% be open to working with the GPSF representatives and seeing where the issues are lying with their constituents, because obviously fraternities are not, I'm not sure actually, but I'm assuming fraternities are more prevalent within undergraduate students. But for retribution, I would advocate for more of a zero tolerance policy for sexual assault and rape, including the expulsion and suspension of students who have proven to be threats to their classmates. I believe that properly dealing with existing and incoming cases, it's a pretty good starting point for retribution. In terms of prevention, I think that's where we start to look at the core of the issue. And I would start by advocating for measures that would help mitigate the risk of sexual assault. This would include, at the beginning at least, minimal basic changes like training fraternity members on how to prevent this behavior among peers, as well as destigmatizing the reporting of members who engage in such behavior. I feel like, I know Senator Rampani touched on this a bit about rape culture, and that's a huge contributor to this issue of sexual assault on campus. And I was thinking about this, but in order to really get into the heart of the issue, we really have to start with the culture of talking to men and boys and the people who are the ones that are in the heart of this, the environment that's causing this. And so, although I know that the senators don't really necessarily have the power to create direct change within the inner workings of fraternities and the places where these sort of things happen, I hope to push for stronger oversight and an overall change in culture through these more overarching methods that isn't so accepting of rape and sexual assault. I hope that answered your question, but yes.
Thank you for this question. I think I'm going to start off with a more broader look at this issue. While there is a responsibility to do everything we can on campus to prevent sexual assault and to hold those accountable, and also providing resources for those who are affected, in the perspective of graduate students, a lot of whom have to live off campus, a lot of whom commute more and are more exposed to basically the town, the city beyond campus. The university also, being such a large part of Chapel Hill, has a responsibility to kind of direct some kind of community outreach, because their students are among the community as well. And with that responsibility in mind, if this is something that I also would really love to hear more of a graduate student perspective of. I want to see what we can do to enact measures to either educate or create some kind of resource or outreach among the community to help people in Chapel Hill in general, and just make the whole town like a safer place for people who may not necessarily be on campus all the time while attending UNC. And that would include maybe having like wider access to resources for victims that goes beyond just those who are on campus and those who can easily access on-campus resources. And also we got to push for transparency because knowing those statistics and understanding where the issues lie is going to be important not only for UNC students, but those who live off campus or those who are in surrounding areas. To treat on-campus sexual assault as something that purely happens on campus is a part of the issue. It's part of kind of a wider issue that I think has to be addressed. And I think that the university can have a significant role in doing that. It just is a matter of expanding those roles, hearing more from students, and really working with graduate students to understand their perspective on the issue and go beyond the undergraduate perspective that we understand.
Wonderful. Thank you all for that. Chair Fiore.
Yeah. So I want to choose my words carefully. I think that I may have misinterpreted Senator Desai's answer, and so I would really like to give her the opportunity to clarify before I I don't want to bring that up in a room that you're not in, because that seems fair, and I want to give that seems unfair, and I want to give you a chance to respond. A lot of your answer regarding the previous question circled around mental health care, and I had a big problem with this for two reasons. The first, you seem to imply that if people have access to counseling services, they will not rape people. And I think that's probably not what you were saying, but that's how it came across. And so I'd like to give you a chance to respond to that. I understand that you're playing to your strengths here and you have a lot of experience with mental health care. But I really want you to respond to that, please. And second, I also want you to expand a little bit, and the other candidates as well, please, on what you will do specifically to on this issue with prevention as opposed to just kind of solving problems after the fact. Because again, this answer seemed to say like, well, people will be raped, but at least there'll be a counselor to comfort them after the fact. And so I really don't think that was what you were saying. It is how it came across, but I would love some more information on this and the general plan for the rest of the candidates on what you will do to prevent sexual assault and partner with the graduate school, excuse me, on how to actually effectively address this chronic debilitating problem we have on UNC's campus. Thank you.
Before we answer that, I'm going to jump in. I do respect the sensitivity of this issue, and I think that there has been some answers that may have been either misinterpreted or misstated, whatever it be it. But we do have to. I'm not trying to say we have to ignore this fact. I'm going to allow the person to answer this question. But for the future, questions that need to be specifically directed at JGC. I recognize that we all have our opinions on mental health or sexual assault on campus, and that there is a time and place for that. But in this election, we do need to keep focused on the graduate lens and not how we would address specific issues. And I do respect this conversation, but I'm going to allow Senator Desai to answer this question, and then I'm going to have to move us back towards graduate cooperation after that, if that is okay with you, Chair Fiore. Okay, so Senator Desai, if you'll please answer the specific questions to clarify yourself, and then we will move on to Senator Dutta's question.
Yeah, so firstly, I wanted to personally apologize to Senator Fiore if my words were taken out of context. As you know, people may interpret things in different ways, but I wanted to clarify my position, and my lens was taken from after the fact, not active prevention. That's where my answer was coming from. So when things happen, you need to bolster the resources for people to get help. That's where I was coming from. I wasn't looking at it from where Senator Malatka was coming from. And when it comes to sexual assault and sexual assault prevention, actively preventing it in the community, for me, that would look like a culture. Sorry, I have like something in my mouth. Emphasizing a culture that is representative of, general respect, because going from a feminist lens, that is exactly what feminism is. You represent the equality in both genders, and you know that because of the fact that we are all students on this campus, we have to look out for each other. And that goes back to what I've been saying at the beginning, solidarity and emphasizing that the culture is needing to be changed, and looking at that from a graduate student and joint governance council perspective that works through resolutions and coming up with ways to implement that through different programs on campus. And whether that looks like a council, or whether that looks like implementing specific positions in student government, that's where it looks like from the JGC perspective. I like Speaker Powell said, I do feel very passionately about this issue due to experiences and making sure that everybody feels safe and not violated in any way possible. But like I said, I am looking at this from a policy perspective, and how we can work with the JGC. And I'm sorry if my words were taken out of context. I think I just spoke word jumble, but I hope that made sense. I don't know. You can ask me any other questions if you need. And again, I'm sorry.
Thank you guys for that. Sorry for this. Let's go into Senator Dutta.
Yeah, so my question is about communication and surveying. I know that a lot of you guys talked about the collaborations between, I think Senator Malatka wants to say something.
Sorry, Senator Malatka.
Sorry, I was under the impression that we were, like the rest of the senators, were also allowed to respond to Senator, Chair, where are you?
Yeah, Chair Fiore. I'm actually not going to allow the rest of the people to, and that was okay with Chair Fiore. We just talked privately. She's okay with that. I was going to cut off her question since it was specifically aimed at Senator Desai, and we do need to get focused on the position of cooperating with GPSG.
Got it.
So I'm going to go ahead and let Senator Dutta continue.
Yeah, so I'm just going to start back up. So my question's about communication and surveying. In collaboration with the graduate schools and all the ideas for changes that we talked about, one thing that some of you emphasized was the importance of representing the voices of the people on the council. And so I wanted to ask what experiences with surveying you guys have, and also if you don't have experience, how do you plan on surveying the student body and analyzing those results to focus on things that are important?
I believe I was the last one to speak, or the last one to speak last time. So I'll go ahead and get started. So that's a great question. In terms of surveying, I have had experience surveying for different coursework and some research projects that I was working on. But I think more importantly than us enacting the surveying and communication, which I think is completely important for us to do, I think it's more important that we are also collaborating with the outreach committees. And since they're going to have more regular communication with the student body, and I'm sure that a similar position exists in the GPSF, I think collaborating with them and understanding their perspective on where students lie on certain issues and taking that into account is in combination with, of course, us reaching out and trying to collaborate with the student body and get a good feel for where their responses are. I think that's going to be very important. And in terms of what I would like to do in this position is I think it would be really important to have town halls where both our committee and the GPSF are present, and we can kind of address issues looking at both programs together. And if we could possibly do like a joint newsletter or some kind of way to show like, this is how we're collaborating and these are the policies we're enacting to benefit everyone, it can really help people kind of keep in the loop in terms of broader things that are happening between both of the schools. So yeah, I think that's what I would like to enact.
So I don't have formal experience surveying, but I do have a lot of experience using social media. So I believe that one of the best ways to talk to people and get find their opinions on like specific topics is by using social media, talking, and listservs. Social media, just because it's something that like everyone is on like all the time, just like stories and stuff, being able to have like a small poll saying like, oh, like what do you think about this? Being able to reach out that way is crucial, I think. Another way is, using social media, by the way, I feel like a really good idea would be to have sort of like an account that's meant for like I think UNC Senate or something that's like associated with JGC or like something similar to that, to be so that students could follow that, and then whoever's interested and like wants to input their information can still like reach out and like access our resources. The other thing is talking to individuals. I really like to talk to people about just like anything in general, especially things that they have concerns about in terms of UNC, like their experience here. That's pretty basic. And then my last one was listservs and polls. This kind of goes along with the idea that I think a previous senator had mentioned earlier. I can't remember who it was, but essentially creating listservs that are able to contact everyone in your district. I think being able to expand that and have a listserv that is able to contact more constituents, and maybe like send out like a couple polls or like a questionnaire like every a couple of weeks, just to see like what people are interested, what people want. I know a lot of people will just like see the email and just trash it, but there will be some people who respond and some people who actually care about what we're trying to do and what we want to improve through student government. And I also kind of just taking this from Senator Anna Durai, but I really like the town hall idea. I think it's like really cool. I think it would be really beneficial to be able to hear people on both the ends of GPSF and USG, because I also think that the listserv idea could work really well with GPSF as well. Graduate students, I feel like would vibe with that sort of communication method. But yeah, those would be my methods to surveying the student body and trying to figure out what their main goals are for trying to improve the undergraduate and the graduate student experience.
All right, everyone, we're getting there. We're going to shake it off one more time. Love this discussion, very important. I actually do have experience with this sort of service, and I talked about that a bit before, so I don't want to just rehash myself. Something, it's going to sound really trivial, but we had no idea how many people knew about student government at Wake Tech and if they were involved with anything we did. So the team of us just said, why don't we send out a survey, and not just email a survey, right? We attached it to course evaluation. So at the end of the semester, a lot of you, I'm still new with the way UNC does things, but you'll review your professors, say what worked and what didn't. And right under that, we added a survey asking, what are the number one priorities for you? Do you know about student government? How can we connect with you? What do you prefer? Texting, social media, listserv, email. Partnering with GPSF to get that information even to begin with is very important. All of our information, and I love all y'all, and I'm including myself, is anecdotal. We know who we know, and we don't know who we don't know. On top of that, social media is a great idea. If the other accounts are any indication, we're looking at 400 or 500 followers, right? So again, a really limited pool. And then also with town halls, love that idea as well, but that's also skewed to those who already know about us and those who don't have pre-existing priorities. So we're usually looking at the higher socioeconomic status students who don't have a bunch of other things they have to do, like work off campus. So I would really focus on surveys that can even ask students, do you know about resources XYZ? Do you know about linking it back before, do you know about CAPS? Do you know about the food bank? Do you know about other resources that can help you out? And then use that information to build a intervention on how we can focus on different things. And that's only possible if we work with graduate students, because guess what? Graduate students know graduate students, and we don't.
Senator Desai.
Could you repeat the question, Senator Dutta? I, again, am last and forgot, and there's a lot of things happening, but yeah.
Absolutely, no problem. My question was specific to surveying and communication. So essentially, do you have any experience surveying large populations, and just basically talk on your skills on analyzing the results of the survey? And if you don't have experience, how do you plan on taking action on survey results and essentially focusing legislation around issues that are important?
Yeah, that's a great question. In high school, I wrote a research paper on the effects of fraternities in North Carolina. And I won't go into the topic just because it's not pertinent to this conversation, but it did require a lot of surveying and analyzing results and how to better understand like the qualitative versus quantitative responses that people had. And in terms of surveying the general population, I will say that Qualtrics surveys don't work. I'm sure that everybody here can attest to the fact that getting a Qualtrics survey in your spam folder is kind of, you just write it off as like nothing. And usually those come from student government and like offices that need like your assistance, and then nobody ever responds to that. And I will go back to Senator Anadurai's response, which is town halls. And I think that the idea of a town hall can be transformed into something brilliant. And that also comes with our coupled efforts to bring in more people to student government. Because while the people who do know about us might be there, it takes all those other efforts to help us come in and to help us engage with other people and to make sure that they're getting to the town halls. And also in this past election, I know people like me and Senator Hatzios and Senator Everett and Senator Robinson, and I'm trying to see who else is here. And Senator Dutta have Instagram accounts, which we engage with people on. And while they don't have many followers, they are important to the way that we communicate with people. And just making sure that we get out our communication in a genuine way and make sure that we are together with the graduate students can help us make sure that we are serving the population in a better way. Because like, I always believe like this is a huge vessel for change. And if we don't listen to what people want and survey in the right way, we're not doing our jobs right. So yeah.
Awesome. Senator Richards.
All right, so there's been a lot of interesting discussion on this position, and you guys have a lot of great ideas. However, I don't think that anybody's really said anything that has struck me as uniquely like you need to be a member of the Joint Governance Council in order to implement it. And I would really like to hear, just if you could be brief so we can like all go to sleep at some point tonight. I'd really like to hear some sort of like concrete thing that each of you wants to do, like specifically on Joint Governance Council, and like how will Joint Governance Council like help you achieve this goal?
We'll go backwards. So
it's me first, right? Okay, I'm sorry, I always forget. I'm the worst at that. So thank you, Senator Richards, for your response. I just want to clarify, you asked for a concrete example of what we wanted to do, right?
Yeah, tell me a thing you want to make happen or change.
Okay, something that I really would like to make happen is that the graduate students had introduced a bill to abolish GPA, and I personally know that that will not happen, but working with the Undergraduate Senate and the Graduate and Professional Student Federation to work to help decrease the stress of school and seeing grades on your screen, that's something that I would like to further. The alternative is to have like a high pass, a pass, a low pass, or like a fail. I think someone could correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think that that idea from the Graduate and Professional Student Federation is something that could really, 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 really help the thoughts of students when it comes to grades, because as you all know, grades are stressful. And that's an idea that I would like to come to JGC with and help further with joint resolutions and such.
All right, shaking it off, y'all. 4 hours. Hey, Andrew, love that question. Although I'm going to disagree with you in one way, and that's that. I know, I'm sorry. I love your cheer wine, but I am going to disagree with you. The things that at least I've mentioned and that other people have mentioned can only be so effective if we're only using undergraduate voices and undergraduate resources. There's a certain level of prestige and respect that graduate students get that we're just not going to get. It doesn't matter if you put speaker next to our name. It doesn't matter if we're seniors. That's just the way it is. In particular, if you want me to get down to the specifics, one thing I really think we need to do is to increase not just the communication between JGC in particular, but of the entire student body government in general. If we're only ever getting information about God, I can never remember what it is. It's GPSF. Sorry, my brain is shutting down. If we only ever get information from them through their executive board and a handful of their Senate representatives, we're not really getting the full picture. In the same way, they're not going to get the full picture of what we talk about by, oh, I'm sorry, JPSG. There we go. They're never going to get the full picture of what we talk about by just our chair, our pro tempore, and the representative. So if we can create, whether that's meetings, whether that's hangouts at a low stress environment where we can all come together, that communication's never going to be there.
Senator Malektar.
Could I have the question repeated again, just so I remember exactly?
Yeah, really briefly, just like, what is a concrete thing that you want to use your position as your theoretical position as a member of the Joint Governance Council to accomplish?
So when I was thinking of potentially running, I'm going to be honest, the first things that I was thinking about was just being able to go in, learn about the inner workings and figure out how to work and collaborate with the individuals who are on the JGC. But I recognize that that's not my role as senator. My role as senator is to represent people, represent the students, what we want, what our desires are, what we want to change. And so I don't know too much about JGC and what its powers and its abilities are, but I do think that this is just an idea that's off the dome, but I think it would be really beneficial if we could have a meeting at some frequency in which every single member of the JGC has to come in with a background of okay, I talk to these people, I talk to this organization, I talk to these people, blah, blah, blah. Here's what I came up with. Here's what people are really, really interested in and what they want. Because I feel once we get into the groove of things, I feel once we're elected, once we're in our positions, we kind of just forget that outreach is a thing. And we kind of just start going into okay, these are the things that we want to do. This is what I want to accomplish. And so we stop reaching out to the constituents more. And I think being able to ask the members of JGC to say, okay, I have this position now. I'm going to go and use my power and use, well, not my power, but use this influence that I have to actually talk to students in the graduate school and in the undergraduate student body and ask them, okay, what's going on? This is what we've been doing, and what else do you want? And what are things that you've been thinking about, right? And so yeah, that's pretty much my honest response. I feel that would be a really I think more proactive way of making sure that people's voices are heard. And when I say repetitive meeting, I think maybe once a month or twice a month or something like that. Just something that's more regular and it's constantly feeding in information from the student body and what we're interested in doing.
So before getting into the idea itself, I do want to acknowledge that there's still a lot that I have to learn about like the graduate student perspective and things that they find important. But I'm going to speak to my experience of working as a research assistant for a graduate student, and I'm going to also speak to a concern for many of my constituents, which is getting those research experiences, those positions. Graduate students, research is a huge part of their educational journey at UNC, and they always are looking to mentor. They always are looking for RAs, for assistance with that. And of course, undergraduate students are always looking for experience. And I think that with the powers that we have as the student councils, we can facilitate easier ways for graduate students to find research assistants. And we can do that by working with the Office of Undergraduate Research and finding methods where it's easier for graduate students to get that assistance, get that help. And it's also easier for undergraduate students to find those graduate students, because oftentimes if you're cold emailing, you're emailing professors, not necessarily students. So I think we can definitely bridge that gap between both of our student bodies. And I think that would be a project that would interest graduate students as well.
Wonderful. All right. Is there any motions on the floor?
Motion to discuss. Can I do that? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to call it good. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, let me kick everyone out.
See y'all. Have fun. Not too much fun, but fun.
All right, everyone's kicked out. Please begin discussion. Senator Richards.
I don't know. That was pretty cursed. Look, there's a lot of stuff that we talked about. Most of it, not in my opinion, especially germane to this position. However, like I think that of the candidates, Robbie gave the best showing. I think that he's eloquent, he's well spoken. I think he'll be a good representative for undergraduate interests on the Joint Governance Council. I think it's important that undergrads not get run over by grad students. I don't think that's going to happen, but retain that possibility in our mind. I think he's good. I think the other candidates are also fine, but I think Robbie is probably in my mind the best.
Thank you, Senator Dutta.
Yeah, I am still trying to decide between Senator Rampani and Senator Desai. So I'm going to be interested in what you have to say, but I do want to point out that both candidates have their strengths. Senator Rampani, as Senator Richards mentioned, is quite eloquent and he's well spoken. Not only that, he also has a lot of unique experiences being a transfer student and also working on student government at another institution. Those experiences do make him stand out as a candidate among the four, given that if you really look at it, they had pretty much similar ideas, and it wasn't anything starkly different based on their ideas that would, put a candidate apart from the others. But I guess Senator Rampani's qualifications and past experiences make him a unique candidate. But I think that Senator Desai has a lot of good connections, and she comes from a very strong background in mental health care, like she explained, and that's what my understanding is. And I think she's well connected with students. I know her because she's a good friend of mine, and she's very well connected with most of the student body. There's a lot of people who know her, which I think is a benefit, because a lot of the times when there are representatives here who say I'm representing the student body, they're specifically only representing their friend group or their close circle who they hear from. And so I think it's a benefit to be well connected to the student body, so you hear from students that are beyond your friend circle. And I think that's a positive that Senator Desai has in terms of her candidacy. I also want to point out that Senator Anadurai's town hall idea was specifically interesting. And of course, ideas are not specific to candidates. They can always carry over to the candidate who's elected. But I just wanted to point that out. And yeah, I'm interested in listening to what you all have to say.
Great, Senator Nimala.
Yeah, as Richard's pointed out, like there were the discussions sort of spilled over into unconnected matters. But I think what stuck out to me was Senator Rampani recognizing that the graduate students work on a very different level than us undergraduates. I'm also involved with a graduate student in research, and I think the way they approach the university and the challenges they deal with are very unique. And while like I understand the need for collaboration, I think I was definitely impressed by the fact that Senator Rampani recognized that there are differences. And I mean, I would point out that Senator Desai mentioned the thing about the grades. And while I think that was a great move for the COVID times, I don't know how practical of a suggestion that is to implement just as a, like, even after we're over with like COVID. And you can like disagree with me on that. But having like just the high pass, low pass, and like fail, I feel like somehow reduces the achievement of students that do work really hard. And I understand the fact that there are stressors and there are things that that come up. But I mean, I feel like we should definitely reward students when they do the work for it.
I'm going to
And
jump in real quick. I'm so sorry to cut you off, but I do again want to push us back to not talking about issues. I can clarify her perspective on this issue because I have talked about this with others. It is a question of accessibility and fairness to students of color and people from low income backgrounds. So it's not necessarily just a COVID measure, but I am going, if anyone is responding to Senator Nimala about a specific issue, please do lower your hand. Because we are talking about the candidates here, not specific issues. This is not the time that we're going to be able to debate those.
cool, that sounds good. Then I'm just saying that I support Senator Rampani.
Okay, Senator Dutta, did you have your hand still raised? Did you want to say something else?
No, I'm sorry. I'm gonna unraise it.
All good. Chair Fiore.
Yeah, I also would like to speak in favor of Senator Rampani. I think he did a great job. And I think that a lot of the points that he made that were really good were mirrored after the fact by some of the other candidates. And while I think that's great, and like, regardless of what happens, we'll get like the good talking points that I appreciated. I would just like to like bring up that like, I think that he had this plan from the start, and it would be cool to see him implement the things that he's interested in. I also think that like, everybody's talked about what a great speaker he is, and I think that's important. Like, it's good to have someone who's like good at like expressing their ideas and is eloquent as like a go-between between us and the graduate students. I think he would be a very good choice, particularly given his experience outside of UNC. I think that's a really like good benefit in this instance. I think he would be a good person for the position.
Fantastic. Chair Everett.
Yeah, I do agree with everything that's been said. I do kind of also want to speak in favor of Senator Desai, just because I think, you know, her background will be beneficial, especially her connections as well. That'd be great for the position. I mean, they're all amazing candidates. So.
Fantastic. I'm going to include the last thing. It's honestly never been a problem of grads overrunning undergrads. It's usually the other way around, actually, funny enough. So we do need
To be clear, that was a joke.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to throw in that it's really important that we have someone who comes with a perspective that respects the fact that, you know, grads are their, you know, own beast to deal with. They're a different type of, they have different interests, things of that nature. So I would also just like to encourage everyone to consider the candidates and their responses on respecting the grads as an independent body with their own interest. I won't sway anyone since I'm speaker, but I just wanted to include that. All right, are there any motions or any other points of discussion?
Motion to vote.
Is there a second?
Second.
Fantastic. Welcome back, everyone. I am going to collect votes by voice vote. Senator Anadurai.
Sorry, it was by voice.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Please message me. I'm going to call y'all's names out and just message me. Senator Bamu. Also, just a message, whenever you're messaging me their names, please use their last names. And then Senator Desai. Senator Dutta. Chair Everett. Chair Fiore. Senator Guffey. Senator Hatzios. Pro Temp Logan. Senator Maladkar. Senator Nimala. Senator Pasapula. Senator Rampani. Senator Richards. Senator Robinson. Senator Subert. Senator Wilkins, or Senator Syed, sorry. Senator Wilkins. All right, team. Gonna go as fast as I can. Sorry, I'm gonna double check one more time because we have a lot of people going on. Okay. All right, we have more than a majority. Congratulations, Chair at Large Rampani.
Oh, thank y'all so much.
All right, we're going to move straight into the election of the Commission of On-Campus Equality and Student Equity members at large. We have 2 positions open for this. Maya, would you like to speak to this briefly?
Yes. These 2 positions, I'm actually the vice chair currently of the commission, and the commission was founded out of the Senate. Actually, as mentioned in my, I guess, campaign speech, former Senator Richards, now student body president Richards, and we worked together to find like the commission, and so at these 2 positions here will be specifically to be the voice mouth or the mouthpiece, let me say that, of the Senate inside the commission. So your specific ability will be tasked to bring information from the Senate to the commission so the commission can be able to decide whether we need to work on a resolution in regards to diversity and equity, or whether a resolution needs to be put forward in the commission in order to like work with the Senate in order to like uplift more diversity and equity resolution. So overall, this position is meant for a person who's really passionate about, which we're all passionate about it, but someone who would like to come to like our meetings on the commission. The commission meets maybe twice a month. So we do convene and we discuss about different issues on campus, such as affordability, access to mental health resources, but it's all centered around serving marginalized communities on campus. So these 2 roles are really good for anyone that's really wanting to be more involved with the commission and also leverage our work in the Senate and the commission as well.
Fantastic. Are there any nominations for this position? Chair Everett.
I'd like to nominate Senator Hatzios.
Fantastic. Are there any other nominations? Senator Nimala.
I self-nominate.
Senator Pasapula.
Hi, sorry, my voice is kind of dying, but I nominate Senator Moldekar.
All right. Are there any other nominations on the floor? All right. If not, we are going to go in order of Maladkar, Nimala, and Hatzios for brief brief summaries.
In which order do they need to go in?
Muladkar, Nimala, Hatsios.
Okay.
Okay. So I accept my nomination, first of all. And I did my whole spiel with like the last JGC member at large thing. And so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but based on what I've heard about this position, it seems like something I'd be really, really interested in working with. I believe campus equality and student equity are extremely important in making sure that everything that we do is not just for the average student, but also making sure that we're hearing the voices of students who are constantly marginalized and constantly like spoken over. I'm going to keep it really short and just end right there.
Fantastic. There was a mic failure. Senator Desai was intended to be nominated. Senator Desai, do you accept this nomination?
Yeah, I accept.
Okay. Senator Desai, I'm just going to go ahead and let you go, and then we'll go Nimala and then Hatsios.
Oh, do I have to go right now?
I can give you a second.
Okay.
Senator Nimala, if you want to go ahead and go.
Sure. I'm also going to keep it brief. I identify as an international student, so especially when COVID started, there was the whole motion that like when we went off campus, all the international students were effectively like they were stuck. They either had to leave to their country and they were not getting plane tickets, or they were stuck here without a support system, without anybody to talk to. So that was something that really shook me. And while I'm not in the same boat as them, because I am a resident of North Carolina, and you can ask me specifically if you want to know how being international and living in the state happen at the same time, I can tell you the international process at UNC is really strange, but like I'm not going to get into that right now. But that was something that really shook me, because I could have been in those shoes. Like I could have been a person that was stuck outside my home country, I guess, without support system. And the student response was pretty quick and pretty fast, and like there was overwhelming support for them. But I really wanted to make sure that such things don't happen, because student government is including those people as well. And when we talk about diversity, I feel like the international students are often like neglected or marginalized because they're such a vulnerable population. Their whole presence in this country is determined by their affiliation to our university. And that's a scary place to be in, you know. You need someone to advocate for your rights. And I really want to do that for them. And especially, like, other than that, I was also thinking about the building names on campus. I was not aware that so many of the buildings on UNC's campus are named after like slave owners and people. And that really shook me, because we're an educated university that has been in the state for over 200 years now. And the fact that we're still like allowing such things to happen was really scary. And I know there's been bills and things to push that forward and to change the names of those buildings. So I would really I would really want to advocate for those name changes and to publish stories that support how instrumental the Black student population and other minorities have been in pushing Carolina to be the university that it is, especially with like the unsung founders statue, memorial that we have on campus. That was a story that I learned, and it was really excellent about how we have a monument on campus recognizing the efforts of slave populations that were used to build the university. Nobody talks about them and they're not publicized. So I would really want to maybe publish a newsletter or something that recognizes the contributions of exactly. Unsung founders memorials literally sinking into the ground. And we took this class where we talked about how people interact with the statues, and people frequently put their feet on it and stand on it. And that's something that's kind of problematic. So I would really want to be a voice in terms of representing these underserved populations and examining how we deal with them, I guess.
Fantastic. Senator Hassios.
Hi. I'd like to choose my words wisely while running for this position. The words of my fellow senators have truly amplified issues we see on this campus, and I believe any of my peers who spoke would be an advocate for marginalized groups on our campus. I believe anyone running for this position has a passion for advocacy and the representation of all of our at UNC, and most importantly, people. So I'd like to tell you how I can practically create change in this area and how I can do this through being a voice of our student senate. This is the position in leadership of our Senate that I believe I would be the most capable of fully implementing change at UNC. And I'd like to tell you the proactive ways that I see this coming, I guess, into solidification. I believe anyone running, sorry, it is late. I think there needs to be huge changes to the vocabulary we use in courses and on campus. The way we refer to things is so important to perception, and it's a learned concept. Therefore, the current places we lack in vocabulary can be systematically changed. And if we do this in a broad way and through critical leadership positions, specifically in orientation programs and clubs, I think that we could really make change in how, I guess, communities and groups interact on campus, and therefore how we can perpetrate a better culture for everyone, and not just our Senate, really everyone on campus. I think that it's important to have our decisions practically applied, and this requires advocacy on all levels. I'm a member of many communities on campus, and I can say that there are places in which these communities need improvement and often fail. This does not involve mandates by student government, but it involves having the connections and the, I guess, real lens to be able to voice the concerns and opinions and, I guess, what we're doing on student government to these places where it's not well heard, where we're not having channels to talk to people. And we've talked about this a little bit before this very moment. We talked about how people aren't really listening to us. They're not really voting. So I just want to be able to find ways to reach these communities to, I guess, make some real change. For instance, I'm on the UNC Model UN Secretariat this fall. I'm also the Vice President of Communications on the Panhellenic Council. In both of these environments, there are major pitfalls in campus equality, and particularly student equity. This is part of the reason I'm a member of these boards. In respect to funding and accessibility, I see firsthand how these barriers, amongst many others, shield students or prospective students in participating in campus activities. I would work with other members to coordinate with all possible clubs on campus, and particularly all that require personal student funding. I also find the issue of campus safety, particularly in the realm of sexual assault and assistance without the intervention of campus police, critical to developing the equity of our student body. I hope this brings a voice, I can bring a voice as a member at large to this issue. I really want to be an advocate for prevention in all aspects of what I've spoken about and all aspects that my peers have spoken about. I don't want to deal with these issues after the fact, although we are already after the fact in some of these. I really want to target them before they're exploding even further. And I know that in this point we are at in this pandemic, we have a chance to really do that. I think it's unacceptable what we're doing right now, and I've been thinking about this idea for quite a while, but I hope that we can work to create some small group program on campus where members of large clubs and orientation programs, new student programs can collaborate with general students in a fashion similar to CAP's small therapy groups. These groups could be open to signups. I would love to see these plans solidify in some way by speaking with the rest of the committee and the group. I believe I could be a great liaison with our Senate because I can highlight exactly the issues we're working on and what is not being done. And really, you know, speaking to both groups, I just think that my organizational capabilities as well can help. I hope that I've explained some strong examples of exactly how I plan to use my experience to create solid changes in our community. Sorry, I am very tired. Thank you.
Fantastic. Are there any questions for our candidates? Are there any questions?
I motion for discussion. Oh, never mind.
I was doing the same thing. Motion to move to discussion.
I'm going to take that as a second. Okay, I'm going to move people into. All right.
I know. At least hopefully this is the only one that ever comes nearly as long as this meeting.
They usually aren't this bad, I promise.
Hopefully not.
We got a fun group though. I'm excited.
I literally love every single one of y'all. Oh my God, I love all your personalities.
Oh
But
my God, wait.
anyway,
Why did I just do the wrong person? Wait. No, I didn't. Okay, I'm good. I'm not stupid. Okay, it was Muladkar Hatsios Nimla, right? If there's anyone who's going to oppose me, say it now. Okay, moving to discussion. Say it. What do you have to say? All right, it's a free for all, y'all. Just pop in. Let's go.
Yeah, really quickly, I just really want to be an advocate for Senator Hatsios. I think talking to her one-on-one, she's very passionate about things, especially in terms of sexual assault, other issues on campus and inequality. So I would love for y'all to vote for her and support her as well. That's it.
Fantastic.
Real quick, just wanted to advocate for both Senator Malazkar and Nimla. Senator Malazkar, we've both worked together through Sangam, and she's done a lot as the political chair. She's really passionate, and she does know how to reach out to people and make sure those concerns are heard. So I really think she'll be a great candidate for this. And I haven't really interacted with Senator Nimla a lot, but she brings really critical points about the international student crisis. And I've had friends who were directly impacted by policy in that area, and they're often an unsung voice. I think that is something to consider.
Great. You can just unmute.
Yeah, I had one concern. I kind of wish that I had the chance to kind of like ask her. I should have spoken up. My only concern with Hatsios is her involvement in kind of like she said she was pretty high up in Panhel, and I think like one of my concerns is like the way that life contributes to the marginalization of students, and so I do worry about how she'll be able to separate her involvement from Greek life while serving on this commission. But
If we were to do that, I would prefer that we invite her back in because I'm not comfortable with making that statement. So would you like to invite her back in to speak on that?
can we get gestures so we don't have a free for all?
Yeah, she's coming back.
I'm muted. I totally agree with you, Sneha, by the way. Great point.
Hi, Senator Hatsios. Can you hear me? There was a question specifically for you, so I'm going to let Senator Pasapula share that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have spoken up earlier. So I know there's been a lot of kind of discussion about how Greek life can contribute to the marginalization of students on campus. And so you said that you are involved in Panhel. And so I was wondering how you'll be able to separate your involvement from Panhel when you are serving, or if you are serving on this commission.
Thank you for asking me this question. It's something I would have definitely spoke on in my short speech, but I didn't want to take anyone's time too much. One of the things that I guess this is my personal opinion, I've addressed this a lot with the Panhellenic Council and our advisors. So the Panhellenic Council is a group on campus that actually works to address issues and need like critical needs. We don't really, I mean, we have very long meetings every single week to, further and further and further. So I just want to make that distinction first of all. That is our fully our operations. The second thing I'd like to say is that my opinion is that I'm very fearful for what happens in the absence of Greek organizations and what might come if we abolish a Greek organization for these reasons that you've listed and many more. That's the reason I'm on the Panhellenic Council, is because I want to be a part of what would be built back, because I'm really afraid that if they're unregulated, this could actually make the issues much, much worse. So I guess how I'm gonna try to address this is I don't really see myself as a full-fledged member of the Panhellenic Council in that I am an advocate for Greek organizations and how they currently operate. I'm actually an advocate to dismantle what we're currently doing, and that's why I'm on the council. That's what I do in every meeting. Is I sit there, I say to them, what are we doing this? What are we going to do this week, and what are we going to do next week, and what are we going to do next year? I've built 5-year plans, and I've really tried to bring that this year with our advisors especially. So in the way that I could separate myself, I don't really see that being a problem, because I almost see that I've separated myself in every meeting that we have, and that's exactly what's helped me to make small changes. We've actually made a lot of funding changes for this upcoming year that I've been proud to be a part of. But yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that does. Thank you so much. And sorry for not.
Specific follow-ups for Senator Hatzios' reply. If not, I'm going to move her back in the waiting room.
Yeah. All right. This is a little bit much, but you're in Kappa Kappa Gamma, correct?
Is this question relevant to the conference?
How many Black people are in Kappa Kappa Gamma?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say this is not germane.
I mean, like, I think this is pretty relevant to being on the campus, like being on the advocacy for
I would
like
just
this
like
issue.
I would like to intervene since I am also on the commission. If we could rephrase the question to just specifically ask what you're seeking, instead of trying to go roundabout. I understand you're trying to provide context, but if you could just go straight to your question and we can be able to judge whether or not this is appropriate for the election process.
I mean, like, I'd like to be comfortable with whether or not organizations that you're part of and that you like implicitly endorse are inclusive, you know? And like my experience with sororities is that they're not inclusive. And I like your assurance that your like choice to associate with these people is like
For
because
this
they're
question,
inclusive.
I feel as though we will have to bring both candidates in, ask what organizations they're involved in, and ask graphic
Can I
and everything they're in as well.
move back to go back to discussion and kind of wrap this up, or?
I mean, we have to follow through with this, but I mean, quite frankly, Senator Richardson.
I'm willing to withdraw my question if we want to move back into discussion and just be done.
If you'd like me to
But,
just
like,
give a short answer, I can give you a 1-sentence answer if that's better than nothing, because I do want to answer your question.
It's not appropriate. It's single.
Okay.
It's not appropriate.
Thank you.
But Senator Richards, I'm happy to. We can do this if you want.
I will defer to the decision of the chair.
Okay, I'll defer to Maya. If you're on the commission, do you feel like this is relevant? And if so, I'm happy to bring the rest of the candidates in.
I would just want to, if you could, Senator Richards, if you could direct it as just a question. May you just ask that as a question, and we can be able to, if you would like to provide context to all of the candidates, then yes, we can bring them back in. But if this is specifically geared at, I'm sorry, I do not know how to say your last name, so I will just state your first, Zoe. I would prefer that this not be directed directly at her without all of the candidates here as well.
We solicited follow-up questions for Zoe, so I asked a follow-up question for Zoe. You know.
So can you define? Maybe we're not understanding your follow-up question. Can you explicitly state your follow-up question?
Yeah. Are there any Black people in Kappa Kappa Gamma? And like how many?
Yes,
well,
I'd like.
I'm sorry, Zoe. That question is not. I apologize, Zoe, for cutting you off. That question is not relevant to this election process.
I don't see how that's the case. Like, you know, if you're a part of an organization that systematically excludes Black people, like.
That is true, but I am also saying as well that question pertaining to Zoe's election process is not relevant. What organizations and the demographics of her organization is not relevant to this question. If this question is asking maybe what organization she serves upon, not in regards to the demographics of a personal outside organization. If it's not involved with the Senate personally right now, we're trying to decide upon her qualifications in this role as a member at large for the commission. So her outside organization's demographic makes no difference.
All right, I will rephrase. Can you assure me that like organizations you are part of are inclusive?
Thank you. Now that's a great question. Zoe, may you please provide an answer to that?
Yes, I can do my best. I understand that there's some frustration, and I agree. So I can tell you that within Kappa Kappa Gamma, we do have the largest and most intensive diversity, equity, and inclusion committee of all of the sorority chapters. And we were the first to create one. Our recruitment chair is also Black. We elected her by popular vote, and we fully believe that she can recruit, you know, all new members in a very, I don't know how to phrase this properly, but I hope that I can assure you that we're doing all that we can. And I can tell you in my personal opinion and my perspective, I would not be a current member of this organization if I believed that we were doing more to perpetrate the diversity issues than aid in improving, aid in improvement. I hope that that answers your question. I know that it probably is not a perfect answer. It is almost midnight, but I am totally open to having a
I'm
conversation.
satisfied. That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
I moved to go back to discussion.
Yeah. Putting you back in the waiting room.
Second.
Okay, second, cool. Okay,
Alright.
I do want to say something real quick. The wording wasn't the best, bro. I do understand that there is a serious point about diversity in Greek life, and I think that is a valid point that we do need to bring up considering the commission's role. But I just want to say that, like, it was super uncomfortable. I just want to make that known. There's nothing wrong with talking about this out loud. So just, you know, let's keep it respectful.
Chair Everett.
I'd like to make a motion to vote.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry, I had a question. How many people are we voting for?
You're voting for 2.
Thank you.
All right. When I call your name, please cast a vote for 2 using their last names, please. All right.
Wait. Can you repeat the last names of the candidates, please?
Yes, it is Zoe Hatzios. Sorry, I wrote this down and did not look. Kirti Nimala and I'm sorry, Senator Maladkar. I do not know your first name. Pallavi Madakar. Madakar.
Wait, do we need to include the first name as well?
No, just put their last name.
Thank you.
Okay. Senator Anadura. Senator Bamu. Senator Desai. Senator Dutta. Chair Everett. Chair Fiore. Senator Guffey. Senator Hassios. Pro Temp Logan. Senator Maladkar. Senator Nimala. Senator Pasapula. Senator Rampani. Senator Richards. Senator Robinson. Chair Robinson. You need to cast one more. Senator Robinson, you need to choose one more person. While you're considering that, Senator Suber. Senator Syed. Senator Wilkins. Senator Robinson, do you have a second person? Okay. Bear with me, guys. It's okay. Sorry, I just responded to Sam out loud. Sam, it is okay that you have bad internet.
That also explains the screaming second from a few moments ago. I sincerely apologize.
Okay, I want to congratulate Senators Mlodkar and Nimala. Okay, next we're gonna do this real quick. All right, y'all, I'm gonna need you to get real active in the chat. When I call your name, I need you to give preference to the Finance, Rules and Judiciary, Oversight and Advocacy Committees. All of us will be assigned to one standing committee. Do not make a preference for ethics. I have already assigned you because that is by random number generator, and I've already done it while we were talking. So please, in the chat, when I call your name, either put an F, R, or an O, depending on what committee you would like to join. That does not apply for myself, pro temp, or the chair positions. So I'm going to call y'all by name. And so the way this has to happen is we have to get 5 in R&J, 6 in finance, and 5 in O&A. So we're gonna have to figure this out. It's gonna be a little uncomfortable, but we're gonna get there. That being said, let's start with Senator Anna Durai. Please give us your first choice.
Can you repeat what the committees are again?
Yeah, so we're going to be choosing between Finance Committee, R&J, Rules and Judiciary, and Oversight and Advocacy. If you prefer Oversight and Advocacy, please do O. If you prefer Rules and Judiciary, please do R. And if you prefer Finance, F. All right. All right, I'm doing this the old-fashioned way. So Senator Bamu. Senator Desai. Senator Dutta. Senator Guffey. Senator Hatzios. Senator Mlodkar. Senator Nimala. Senator Rampani.
1 second.
Senator Richards. Senator Subert. Senator Syed. Senator Wilkins. Fantastic, y'all. We do not have to do a rearrangement. Whatever you told me is what you indicated. Sorry, Senator Dutta, do you have a question?
No, I do not. I did, but
okay, you're good. So what you're gonna hear a lot from me the next couple days. I'll be sending you like a Slack, probably maybe a Teams. We're gonna be putting a listserv, and I will get y'all added to that stuff. And I will send you out finalized list of who's in what committee. Did I miss anybody? Does anyone not know what committee they're in? Okay. That being said, we're going to go on down. We have no concurrent resolutions. Are there any notices in adjournment? Is there any notices? All right. For adjournment, we have to do by voice vote.
I want to ask a question real quick. Is the 9 o'clock thing tomorrow morning, or is that another time?
I think is it 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock?
It's 9 o'clock tomorrow.
All right. That is not mine. That's Keshav. So I haven't heard anything else about it. I can text Keshav tonight. I will let you know as soon as I can. Yeah, sorry, that's just not my project. Maya, did Keshav get with you on that?
Keshav has not informed me, so we'll both touch base with him to see.
Okay. Yeah.
So we can push that off a week after today. I would love to do that, but
if you don't hear anything by 5 minutes from this meeting ending, then we're not having it. I'll just make that executive decision. Okay, sorry. Yes is a vote to adjourn. No is a vote to not adjourn. Senator Anna Durai.
Yes.
Senator Bamu.
Yes.
Senator Desai.
Yes.
Senator Dutta.
Yes, please.
Chair Everett.
Yes.
Chair Fiore.
Yes.
Senator Guffey.
Yes.
Senator Hatzios,
Yes.
Pro Temp Logan,
Yes.
Senator Molodkar,
Yes.
Senator Nimala,
Yes.
Senator Pasapula.
Yes.
I vote yes. Senator Rampani,
Yes.
Senator Richards,
Yes.
Senator Robinson,
Yes.
Senator Seabear, Senator Syed,
Yes.
Senator Wilkins. All right,
Yes.
have a great night. Let's go.
Thank you all.
Thank you.